All right, folks, welcome to another edition of Market Hunter Thursday with Herve. I got to tell you something. We're going to mix it up a little different for you guys. Washington, D.C. versus Baltimore, Maryland. Folks, I am torn on this one. As you know, we typically go ahead and invite a guest speaker from a different city to come and talk about real estate investing in their city, the opportunities, the markets, the neighborhoods.
And I don't want to offend anybody who's watching and who's listening. They really want to get all the black people out of the city.
We're talking first-time investors.
I took a moment to come by. That's Somerset project.
Shopping centers, stores opening, things happening.
Today, no guest speaker, just mano y mano. What we're gonna do here is we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do a comparison. Two different cities, Washington, D.C. versus Baltimore, Maryland. And guess what? Towards the end, I'm gonna have you guys decide which is the best city to invest in from a real estate perspective after I give you some stats, some opinions, some thoughts about each of these cities. Now remember, we did have a guest speaker come on our show back on January 24th to talk about real estate investing in Baltimore, Maryland. And back on April 1st, we had another person come on and talk about real estate investing in DC.
Like now, okay, like what we call Jewtown. That's above Northern Parkway. Okay. They actually used to be all the way down far as Emerson and Fulton.
Okay.
And they just kept migrating up because more and more black people were moving in. I'm gonna give you a perfect example. Remember I told you I was talking to you about Johns Hopkins bought part of a project, right? I made sure
Shopping centers, stores opening, things happening, especially in Anacostia, Capitol Heights, like those areas, and prices are very attractive. Successful investors that I have interacted with, a lot of close friends, the major, I would say, successes in DC are around flips. So a lot of people are buying distressed properties, renovating them, putting a lot of upgrades, and then getting them on the market. Because buyers, especially DC buyers, families, they're looking for homes that are move-in ready.
I took a moment to come by. That's Somerset projects.
Yeah, man.
Right? I don't know if they could see that in that top corner. Okay, that's Johns Hopkins Hospital.
Yep.
Johns Hopkins has ticklisly bought up the whole east side. East Baltimore was a flat area. When you look in here now, it's now a skyline here. They have a Hilton Hotel down here and everything.
We're talking first-time investors. So you really want to go to Laurel, College Park.
Yes.
Those are good areas that are still affordable and still close enough to DC when it comes to commute. And metro accessible too. That's important.
So I would definitely implore you to go ahead and check out those videos for more specific details. Here I'm going to hit on some highlights as well as some other research. I hope you find it helpful. So let's go into it. Tail of the tape, Washington, D.C. versus Baltimore, Maryland. Folks, I am torn on this one because let me tell you right now, it's my old stomping grounds. I grew up in a small town called Columbia, Maryland, right between Baltimore and Washington, D.C. I went to high school in Baltimore. I went to graduate school in D.C. I'm torn. I'm gonna let you guys decide. And if you guys like this, please smash that subscribe button at the bottom of your screen. All right, let's kick it off right now with Washington, D.C. Here's some stats right off the top. Population 714,000. Median income $86,000. Now the median income to rent in DC is $63,000 because you got median rent of about $1,500. Now I know it's a lot of numbers there, but one of the most important ratios to take into consideration here is the price to rent ratio. In Washington, D.C., that number is 32.5 times, which basically means that D.C. is a good market for renting because the price of homes are so high. Again, that median home value in D.C. is $600,000. D.C. ranks as number 3 in the country of cities that have gone through gentrification. It ain't the same DC that I knew from back in the days when I was there down in grad school. You got headquarters of some big time companies in DC, Fannie Mae, Danaher Corp, Lockheed Martin, Marriott Corp, obviously the hotels and hospitality company, as well as Capital One Bank, right, which is right outside of DC. So a lot of big time employers, a lot of job creation going on in DC. You got some real up and coming neighborhoods in DC. Now, everyone is, has their own kind of taste and everything else like that. These aren't my choices, but just based on some research where there's a lot of activity going on. There's some good schools here, good jobs. And one of the things that we love about DC, folks, really nice metro system. And let me tell you, that has a huge impact as to the value of the real estate. I owned a condo in DC that I recently sold a couple of weeks ago. Let me tell you, for the fact that it was near a subway stop, a metro stop, really helped the sale and the value of that particular condo. So keep in mind when you are selecting either to do your flips, to buy your small multifamily, the location relative to a metro stop in DC. You got some nice neighborhoods in DC. Remember, DC, 4 quadrants: Northwest, Northeast, Southwest, Southeast. The 3 quadrants where you've seen a lot of development and growth has been the top 3: Northwest, Northeast, and Southwest. The one that is slowly coming around, and I say slowly, I mean slowly, is Southeast DC. There's a lot of opportunities for Southeast DC, but that is an area where you're gonna have to plant the seed and apply some water nicely and over time and be patient. You're gonna have to watch that grow. But if you want to get in right away to some of the pricier areas, let's say in Northwest, you're talking about McLean Gardens, Cathedral Heights, North Cleveland, Glover Park, Wesley Heights. These are all about 15-20 minutes away from downtown DC in areas of really good neighborhoods near the metro system. A lot of great opportunities. You're gonna find all the shishi restaurants and stores. That's DC in a nutshell. Just keep in mind, really that price to rent ratio, 32.5 times, and it basically means it's a good place to rent if you're a renter, because homes are so expensive. So hey, listen, if you're a landlord and you're interested in small multifamily, hey, DC could be a really nice area. You just have to be careful in regards to where you're going to be selecting that multifamily. Choose near a metro stop. Now let's go over to Baltimore, right? Baltimore is only about an hour and a half north of Washington, DC, but a completely different market, an eclectic market, a dynamic market, a lot of different things going on in Baltimore, Maryland, my old stomping grounds. Again, here population a little bit lower than DC. Population in DC, 715,000. Population in Baltimore, 575,000. Median income in DC, remember, 86,000. In Baltimore, almost half, $41,000 median income in Baltimore, Maryland. Like I said, a lot of dynamics going on in the Baltimore area. The median income to rent an apartment in DC is $63,000. In Baltimore, that comes down to $53,000. Remember how we get to that number. You take the median rent, okay, and then you multiply it by 3, because typically landlords want you to have about 3 times income in order to afford rent. So $63,000 median income to rent in DC, $53,000 for Baltimore, Maryland. Okay, the median home value in DC, we talked about, it is expensive. You go down to Baltimore, Maryland, $177,000. What do you think that's gonna do to the price to rent ratio? For Baltimore, Maryland, that means you have a price to rent ratio of only 10 times. The demand for rentals is lower in Baltimore because the price of the homes are pretty affordable. Again, we're talking about a median home value of $177,000, right? You got, again, some nice Fortune 500 companies headquartered in Baltimore. John Hopkins Hospital, Under Armour, right? Got the Steph Curry shoes right there in Baltimore, Maryland. McCormick, University of Maryland Healthcare System. So nicely spread amongst a bunch of different industries. Not one industry makes up 20% of the jobs in Baltimore, Maryland. Baltimore, right outside of downtown Baltimore, again, really some nice up and coming neighborhoods where you're gonna find the millennials doing a bunch of renting, good school districts, nice shops, employers as well. Wyman Park, Butchers Hill, Upper Fells Point, Guilford, along with Canton. all within about a 15-20 minute drive in to Baltimore, right? So you don't have the metro system in Baltimore like you do have in DC. Both cities have a really nice downtown. Both cities have really good school districts. But again, much more affordability when it comes to home values in Baltimore relative to DC. Just like how DC has its 4 quadrants, Baltimore has its interesting neighborhoods as well. You're gonna see a lot of empty row houses in Baltimore, a lot of vacant row houses. You can literally buy an empty row house over there for $5,000, $10,000. Because what happens is when folks go ahead and buy a row home for $5,000, $10,000, $25,000, $30,000, I understand the strategy of, hey, let's go in and just buy this thing on the cheap and sit on it. But it's not one that's gonna be welcome in the city of Baltimore. They're gonna go ahead and categorize it to be demolished, and you're gonna wind up getting fined because you had not done anything on that particular property. So folks, I laid it all out for you. Washington, DC, Baltimore, Maryland. Who's gonna win out? Time will tell. Both cities have made really, really strong arguments. I'm gonna let you guys decide. Punch that subscribe button at the bottom of this YouTube screen, and before you do that, just type it in. Which city do you believe is better to invest? And you know what? Throw in a sentence or two as to why you believe either Washington, DC or Baltimore, Maryland is a better city to invest for you. Happy investing, happy hunting, have a great, safe weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. Be well.